Hi, good evening, Lourdes. All right, thanks for being as always on time. I'm going to start class with you, okay? Today we're actually going to kind of finish with this document. We still have like two more, let's say, groups, very important groups that are going to be causal, all right, transitions and sequential transitions. But we're going to focus perhaps on the most important ones only so that we can finish today. And also, I think that you got the idea, right, of how to use punctuation with these words. So it's not going to be as detailed as previous explanations, let's say. So the only thing that is missing over here, I told you that we were going to cover the three. We did this one, which was contrasting, conceding, and now the only one that is missing is replacing, right, or indicating alternative. Here we have different ways of doing this, right? And none of them are actually these transition words because all of them are going to be exceptions. And the exceptions are going to be written in the way that we see in this example. So we're going to read this together, please. Lourdes, give me a second. I think that you're able to see it. I cannot mark it down there because of this, but can you see the last part? Lourdes, I don't know if it's able to see that in your screen, replacing an indicated alternative.
Yes, teacher, I can see it.
Great. Let's read all those words, please, and also the examples.
Okay, replacing indicating an alternative instead of or rather. Common phrases or at least. And examples, instead of using X, the scientists used C. And or other, why not implement a brand new policy?
Great. Thank you very much, Lourdes. Good, right? So, or rather. So we have instead of or rather. And the two examples there are very clear, right? So you can say, instead of going right to the party, we should stay home, right? That's one simple idea. Or you can say first your idea, right? Why don't we go to the party? Or rather, it would be better to stay home, right? To, I don't know, right? To eat something. So it's to give alternative. To it says replacing, right? Or indicating alternative. So we use this kind of vocabulary a lot. It says or at least, right? So it's like adding one more option that is one more alternative. And we need or actually over there, right? We should do this or that, or at least, right? We should work with this other idea. So it's going to be to introduce like the last, all right, option, the last alternative for you to take. And of course, it depends, punctuation depends on many things. And if you work with instead of or rather, right? I'm going to write two examples just to exemplify. I think that instead of is clear, but I'm going to write a very simple example over here, right? So you can say instead, right? Sorry, instead of the one that I said, right? Going to the party, comma, we should stay home, right? Sorry, my mistake over there. There you go. We should stay home. So this is your idea. This is your first idea over here with instead of going to the party. So this is your first idea. But instead of going to the party, this is the alternative, right? So in the phrase, you have the first idea. And after that phrase, after the comma, you have the actual alternative that we're going to mention. Then with or rather, we need more, right? We can say we should go, and actually we're going to use the first idea, of course, without any of those words to begin with. So it's going to be we should go, right? We should go to the party, right? Comma, if it's only like this, and that or is going to work with rather, it's going to be like a fanboy, right? So it's going to be or rather, comma could be, as we're using a second comma, you have two options here. You can also use semicolon so that it's not repeated too often. So we should go to the party. comma or semicolon, or rather we could, as this possibility, we can use could. We could, right, simply stay home, and that's it. So here we have punctuation rules, possible punctuation rules for or rather, because it's being used as fanboy. It's going to happen the same as or at least, because it's going to be like the last thing that you're going to mention, right? So you can say, we should go to the party, right? Or at least go, right? Or at least go and say, right, hi. Or and greet, you can say. And just to have this idea complete, or at least I'm going to do the same, we can use a complete sentence and it's going to sound better. Or at least we could, all right, go and greet. All right, that's going to be sorry, my mistake. Greet each other, all right, and greet each other. So this is like the second alternative, right? Again, we are using these last ideas as fanboys. And as we're using them as fanboys, we're going to follow more or less the same idea. Of course, in the second one, they are not asking to use comma, but it would be a good idea to do it. So if you want to specify that this at least is going to be your idea before that, you can set a comma after that, and you have the chance of writing this, or in this part, a semicolon, or you can copy and paste this at least if you don't want to use a comma, and you can use it at the end of the sentence. And of course, in that case, you don't need any punctuation. You cannot do that with rather, because this rather in this way is special, right? But with at least, you have these two options. So this is the way we use these sentences, all right? Instead of, or rather, or at least. It can be at the beginning or at the end of the second idea. So with that explanation, please, let's write two examples, all right? Let's work with two examples with alternatives. You have the examples over here and the words also, but you can use the examples that I wrote in the file as well. Please, you should have access to the file already, but again, just in case, I'm copying and pasting this one more time. So it's in the chat. Okay, so go there, please, and let's write two examples working with instead of, or rather, or you can use at least. Hello, Mariana. Let me know, do you have any questions?
I want to write in past.
One more time, please, Mariana. I was able to hear, but it was a little bit laggy. Can you repeat your question, please, or your doubt?
Okay, I want to put in my sentence in past, and I don't know if I need to use using or just use.
It depends, because actually, I don't know if your verb is the main verb, if it's like a second verb after your main verb. So it depends. Show me your sentence. I'm going to go to your example, Mariana. Let me close this. All right. So where are you, Mariana? You're here. So in what part, Mariana? Show me, please.
Like,
Okay, so it depends if you, the context is going to determine your verb, Mariana, because the rule says that after of, if you want to use a verb after of, it's always going to be with a gerund, all right? Always, 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 always. There's never going to be, for example, instead of do, no, incorrect. Instead of to do, incorrect. Instead of did, incorrect. Instead of done, incorrect. No. The only possible option there, Mariana, is doing with ing. All right? Always after a preposition, the verb has to be with ing. So instead of using. So you should, all right, you should be sure, Mariana, that your sentence is in past, because for example, so far it seems like a present idea, right? It seems like a present idea because you say, when my mom cooks pasta, present, right? Instead of using, that's part of an idea, but I think it's connected. I think you don't have a second idea yet. Or you can say, when you say when my mom, then it's not a complete idea yet. It's only like a phrase. You should tell me, for example, this is one possible solution, Mariana. You can say, my mom, all right, uses, I don't know, these ingredients to cook now, right? Instead of using the ingredients that she did before, all right? Something like that. So I need two complete ideas. Or I don't know, right? I'm cooking following this technique, right? I'm cooking following this technique instead of using the previous one, right? That I used to use in the kitchen or something like that. So you need two complete ideas. But again, when you say that when, it gives me the idea that this is part of one same idea, Mariana. All right, but the verb,
okay,
any
and my
verb.
idea is like,
Yes, tell me, Mariana.
it's like when my mom cooks pasta, instead of using fettuccine, she uses spaghetti, for example.
Okay, but again, if you say when, that first word gives me the idea that everything is just one big idea. When you say when my mom cooks pasta, instead of using fettuccine, it seems like an introduction, right? For example, it's like saying, Mariana, when I go to the park with you, comma, I feel very good. So I'm expecting like a result. This is like your condition clause. When you use when, Mariana, it's like you're giving me a condition, right? When I'm with you, comma, I feel very happy. So here you're using instead of. It works like an alternative, but it's not like an alternative phrase that we are using like in the example, right? If you take a look at this example over here, it says, right, instead of doing this, right, instead of using pasta or instead of cooking pasta, my mom is cooking this. You can say that, right? Or instead of doing this, I'm doing that. Because again, if you keep your idea with when, Mariana, I'm waiting a second part. So you can say, when my mom cooks pasta instead of this other food, comma, I like it more, you can say. And in that way, it would be valid, Mariana. But you need to organize very well your idea, because again, if you use when, you are conditioning your idea and you need a result after instead of. Try to write your complete idea, Mariana, the way you are telling me, and we're going to see if it works. But the thing is that after of, you always use the verb with ing, okay? And doing that is not present or past, it's just a verb. Let's finish, please, Mariana, and let's see how it's going to work out. All right, so in the meantime, I'm going to finish checking. I think that you finished your job. The ones who did it, please look at it done. Let's read your example.
Okay, teacher, but I hear you very laggy. I'm not sure if you are listening to me very well.
All right, sorry, I think I was having again Hello, hi once again. I think that I solved the problem. I'm sorry once again. Please let me know if you can hear me. It's important, please, to let me know.
Yes, teacher.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. So I'm going to try to continue. I hope that this time is going to work without problems. Please, Lourdes, once again, sorry. I don't know if you were answering. I was not able to hear anything, Lourdes. Let's read your examples, please.
Okay. Instead of buying a small and expensive pizza, we could cook a bigger and delicious one.
Okay.
And we should go to the funeral, or at least we could send flowers.
Good, very good, great. I see the phrase at the beginning, the complete idea in the second part, right? And the two complete ideas in the second example with or, right? Which is working as a fanboy. I see no mistakes over there. It's working very good, Lourdes. I don't know if you have any questions related to these kind of words.
No, teacher, everything is clear.
Great, thank you. Please, let's continue with you. Melissa, let's read your two examples, please.
Okay, teacher. The first one says I should have gone to that meeting on time, or at least send an email or a message saying that I had an emergency and that I would be late. And the second one is instead of spending all my money on books, I could have saved a little to travel and visit my parents next month.
Very good. Thank you very much, Melissa. So I want to let you something. You are using perfect models. That's really interesting. They work very well, I think. So we should have gone to that meeting, right? Or at least if we are using this as a second, right? For example, at the beginning, if you remember Melissa here, I was doing the same. I was only using one verb that was going to be connected to this, but it was going to be okay. You can use at least like that, but it was going to be only one big sentence, right? Because it was part of this same subject. And then you can only use a verb. Now, if we're doing that, we have to be careful because in your example, you are first giving the idea in past because this is a perfect model, right? So all perfect models are in past. So you're telling me we should have gone past, right? Or at least sent, but this sent is base form. And in this case, it's giving the idea either or present or is giving the idea of, let's say, a imperative because it's not connected with this conjugation, right? Should have gone. So you have two options. You can try to connect this verb to this one in the same tense, or you can repeat again, right? The subject and the complete idea and say, or at least we should have sent, right? An email or a message, right? In that way, it's going to be in a past as the first idea. If we keep the idea of sent, it's not going to be connected with this idea because the main verb here is in past participle and the main verb in your second idea is in base form, right? So let's try to see that, Melissa. My advice here, in order not to change the structure a lot, it will be that one. Try to copy and paste the same subject, the same tense, and change this verb to past participle, right? In that way, both ideas are going to be in the same tense. I don't know if you have any question related to that, Melissa. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, it's okay.
Great, thank you. And in the second one, just to the final check, the proof. Very good. That's a phrase, right? Spreading all my money on books. Spending, good. I could have saved, good. And again, you're using a perfect model, which is great. Very good. I have to travel and visit my parents next month. Very good. That's great, Melissa. I have no more observations. Sorry. Do you have any other questions related to these words? Let me know.
No, teacher, it's okay. I will change
Great.
the first one right now.
Great, thank you. Mariana, now let's see how it goes. Let's see how your sentence or your examples are working, please.
Okay, teacher. In the first, I don't know if it's right, but I changed the first sentence, but it's like, sorry, I don't know what happened, but it's like it erased my first sentence.
Yes,
Okay.
I see. Yeah, read it, please, Mariana.
Okay, the second is at least give me time to think about it. And the first was like, it was like, okay, you should have the meat instead of the chicken for cooking.
Okay, okay. Again, I think we are using both words correctly, Mariana. Grammatically speaking, again, both words and both expressions are being used correctly. Good, it says, right? You should have the meat, right? This have, I'm imagining that you mean you should obtain or get the meat, all right? I understand that have as that. You should have the meat, right? Or you should order. That's why I imagine, right? You should order. When you say have in English, it's going to be understood as when you are in a restaurant and you say, right, have the meat. I'll have the meat. I'll have some pasta, please. Right?
Yes,
It's
I
when
think
you
that
order.
it should be like you should have used the meat instead of the chicken for cooking.
Okay, yes, that's going to change the context. Yes, you should have used, could be. You should have used, you should have prepared. But in that case, this is past. This you should use the meat, you can say that, or you should prepare the meat instead of the yes, chicken. Sorry, again, I'm receiving that message. If what I'm saying is not all right, understandable, or it's laggy, let me know, please. But again, your sentence is correct, but we are not using the complete ideas for this purpose, Mariana, because it's like saying, right, I want to go to this place and to this place. You're using and, but you're not using and as a fanboy, right? With the right punctuation and so on and so forth. You're doing the same here. You're using instead of, but you're not using instead of for complete ideas. You're using instead of as part of your one sentence. So again, grammatically speaking, your idea is correct, Mariana, but if we want to use this as connector, we should follow this idea over here. And for this idea, you need first a phrase, a complete phrase with instead of, all right? And then a second part with the complete idea that is opposite to that one, which is going to be correct in the case that, again, you're doing. It's correct, but perhaps you can rethink that. First, try to think of the first option instead of the first option, comma, and mention the second option. It's going to be only inverting, all right? Only work with inversion, and it's going to be better in that way. And in the second part, also is correct, but I only have one option, right? If we want to use that idea correctly in the sense of using punctuation to see how you're going to use punctuation, Mariana, only for that purpose, I need at least one more idea, right? So you need first idea, then you should use or at least, and the second idea, right? Because again, it's being used correctly, but I need one more idea at least to see how we're going to use punctuation. Let me know if you have questions or comments related to that, please, Mariana. With those changes, we can apply the rule and that I applied to the examples over here, right? Let me know if you have questions or comments, please, Mariana.
No, Peter, thank you.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Let's go now with you, please, Whitney. Let's read your examples.
Okay, we could decide to invest into export or at least we could open a new branch. Instead of watching horror movies, we go to a coffee shop nearby.
Okay, nearby, right? Good, very good, great. Again, this is not going to be considered a mistake. Sometimes this can be considered, again, if we want to avoid punctuation here with me, we can set this at least over here without punctuation as I was doing. But the best thing when it's at this part, it's also a second comma. But to avoid that, as I said here, right? If it's going to be there, it's better if it's with a second comma, right? Or at least comma, we could go and greet each other. Or the second option is saying this. Or we could go and greet each other at least, right? In that way, we are not going to need extra commas, right? And we can avoid the usage of more commas if we want it, all right? So my advice is, if we're going to keep it this way, perhaps we can use semicolon and a second comma, or if we want to avoid the use of comma, copy and or cut, right? Cut that expression to the last part, and you don't need any extra commas. Just that with me. I don't know if you have any comments or questions related to that. Let me know, please.
No, teacher.
Okay, great. And also in the second part, sorry, one thing, it says, right, instead of watching horror movies, we go to a coffee shop nearby. So in this case, if your intention is to give me ideas of your routine, right, this is what you always do instead of watching horror movies, then it's correct. But if you're only mention an alternative, because that's the purpose of this word, right? If you're only mention an alternative, it's not a good idea to use simple present. It would be a better idea to use either continuous form or either future, all right? Continuous forms and future are perfect for alternatives. If we talk about routines, it's more like very hard to change. It's not an alternative, but you're explaining, right, what you always do instead of something else. Just clarification for that, okay? Just to take into account. Great. And I think, well, Luciana's not here, so I think I finished with everybody. Great. We worked then with these two groups, the most important groups, additive transitions and adversative transitions. Now we are only going to work with two more groups, but only two important parts of causal transitions, because only two are very, very important over here, and sequential transitions that are going to be very useful for your essays. Let's begin with this one, and we're going to start with the first group, which is showing cause or reaction. You're going to help me with all that information, please, Lourdes. Once again, read everything that you have in showing cause or reason. Sorry, let's read that one, please.
Okay, common terms, since, for, as, because of the fact that. Common phrases, the due to, the fact that, for the reason that, owing to the fact. Examples in the original sample group was too small. Researchers called for more participants. Due to budgetary demands, funding will be cut in half.
Thank you very much, Lourdes. Again, I'm still having some problems. I was able to hear almost everything, just the last part. If you have any questions related perhaps to pronunciation or something that was not clear, let me know, Lourdes. Again, I was able to hear to the first part of the examples and the last part only. But I think it was good what I heard. The words, all of the words are going to work in the way we know, except for since, for, and as, right? Those words are going to work differently. Please, you're going to let me know again if you're having some problems by listening what I'm saying, okay? Since and as are going to be used as you see in the example. You're going to use them at the beginning. You can use them at the beginning with comma, or you can use them at the second part without comma, okay? So it's going to be like this. I'm going to write not an example, only one formula for that one. Give me 1 second over here. So this is for since and as, right? So you say since or as, right? First idea, right? Comma, second idea. And remember, they have to be complete ideas, right? That's going to be punctuation for since and as. There you go, right? Since, first idea, comma, second idea. And again, you need two complete ideas. All right, that's very important. You know how to use for, right? For is going to be different. It's a fanboy. So you're going to use for first idea, comma, for second idea. And again, you need two complete ideas over there, right? Two complete ideas. Good. Of course, there's a mistake there, right? Because you don't say for second idea, but you understand that the word for has to be there, right? So first complete idea, comma, for the second idea. And the rest of the words are used as you see over there with this structure, all right? Transitional word. So you need period or semicolon, the transitional word or phrase, comma, and the second complete idea, all right? The rest of them that are not in color are going to follow this formula, right? The formula that we always use. So let's work, please. Again, let's try to work with two short examples. Let's do it. If you have any questions, please let me know, all right? Only the first group, please. Showing cause or reason. All right. One important clarification is that if you say because of the fact that, and that's actually something I need to explain, right? Because of the fact that, due to the fact that, right? Owing to the fact that, what you need after that is a phrase, like in the examples, right? You have the examples. It says, this is one phrase, due to, right, budgetary demands, right? Or you can say, due to the fact that I was, right, at the party, comma, right, I was able to see what happened. So you have two options, and I'm going to write that also in the document. In case you want to use that differently, I'm writing those extra examples over here, right? So you can say, due to, as a phrase, all right? You can add that or use that with a phrase, comma, and complete idea, right? That's one way. The other idea or the other possibility is due to the fact that, and after that, let me take over there. You can give me like a complete sentence, quotation mark, all right? If you say due to the fact that, you can give me a complete sentence. So, complete sentence, comma, and complete idea. That's what you can do with due to, all right? And of course, I'm going to add plus so that this is not a mistake. You can do that with due to, you can do that with because of, all right? Also works with because of. And this one is going to be applied with this second part that is owing to, all right? Owing to this one. due to, owing to. There you go. Great. To take advantage of the time, right? Because, well, because of the problem, well, I lost some time. So let's begin with you, Melissa, please. You have your 2 examples. Let's read them.
Yes, teacher. The first one is due to the pandemic. My last year of college was 100% online, and I could not do the internship that I was planning to do. And the last one is because of his job. He has to wake up really early to take the training every morning.
Very good. Thank you very much, Melissa. Great, great. If we want to be like 100% accurate over here, again, it's not considered a mistake. It's just if you want to do this like perfectly in grammar in a specific case, like that is not a mistake. But if you see that you're using that over again, even if it's with the same subject, you can add a second comma over there, right? Because you have another, it's the same subject, I, but actually here you have my last year of college, right? That's a subject, and then you say I. So it's the second subject. So it will be great, right? If you use comma. If you don't use it, because of the context could be correct, but if you use it over there, it would be like very, very good. For the rest of the idea with due to and because of is great. I don't know if you have questions related to that, Melissa, because I have no more observations.
Yes, I don't know why, but it sounded weird to me. I was planning to do. I don't know why I thought at the beginning that it was only I was planning to. I don't know if that would be correct or it has to have do at the end.
Look, it depends actually. As you're mentioning, right? As you're mentioning internship, which is the object, but you're not mentioning the action. All right. If you have mentioned the action before, right? Actually, you say, right, do the internship. Yes, we wouldn't need. If you only have it like that, it will be okay. All right, that I was planning to, because before I thought I didn't see this, before you're mentioning the verb already. So there's no need. If it was the case in which you didn't mention that, it would be necessary to mention that do. But in this case, as you have that do before and the object of that do, I think like that it will be more than enough, Melissa. Okay, again, great, you're welcome. And again, it's not incorrect. That's why if you say I was planning to do, it's not incorrect. That's perhaps for emphasis. If you want to emphasize on the idea of doing that internship, it's very important, and you want to focus the attention over there, then write do. It's not incorrect. But you can avoid that word, okay? I don't know if you have any more questions or comments. Let me know.
No, teacher, that was my only question. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I think we have this ready. Again, I'm going to work if I see this done. Don't worry, you can keep working. Whitney, I think we have your examples ready. Let's read, please.
Okay, due to poor investigation, there are many innocent people in prison. Since we study in Tokyo, we increase our possibility of applying for a formal job here.
Okay, great, great. Just this one is going to be like since, right? But good, good. They work very well. You're using phrase or let's say, yes, phrases over here for investigation. If it's referred, yes, in this case, it's referred to, let's say, the police, right? Because we use that word more related to that kind of field, right? In other kind of field, research would be better. But I think that in this context, it works very good. I see no corrections that I could make. Whitney, I don't know if you have any questions. Everything is working great.
No, teacher.
Great, thank you. And I have all of you. And Mariana, let's try to read your examples, please.
Okay, teacher. The first is due to the insecurity, the government implemented more cameras in the street, and I think that idea is going to work.
Good, good, very good.
And the second is, since I work on a restaurant, I have. Sorry, teacher.
It's okay.
Second is, since I worked on a restaurant, I have more possibilities to open my own restaurant.
Okay, good, good. This is giving me the idea, right? Since you have the experience of working in a restaurant, right? It means you have more possibilities of open a new one, your own one, because you have the knowledge, right? Good. Just one thing, Mariana, actually, that double that was good, all right? If you say, and I think that that idea, and actually that's very formal, all right? Because in many sentences, you can avoid the use of that. If you avoid the use of that as connector, it's okay, but it's not as formal. But if you say, I think that, right? That's your first part. I think that. Then you give me what? That idea is the subject. So you can use double that over there, and that will be even better. All right, that's going to be very formal. When we use that, whenever we have the chance of using that, in writing is better. All right, in writing is better. In speaking, you can avoid it, but in writing, it is better if you do it. I don't know if you have any questions or comments, Mariana. Let me know.
No, teacher, thank you.
Great, thank you. One more group, only one more group over here, which is going to be the second important one. The other ones, as I told you, in the rest of the words as well, because it will be impossible to finish all of these in these 3 days that we have. But I got all of these for you. In case you want to use other words, you can use them. But with me, we're going to cover this one more over here in causal transitions, showing effects and results, because these two are the two most used transitional words and phrases. So this time is going to be for you, Whitney. Yes, read all the information that you have here, please, Whitney, showing the effects, results.
Okay, consequently, therefore, thus, accordingly.
Accordingly.
Okay, as a result, for the reason, as a consequence.
Very good, thank you. All right. All these words are going to be for effects, results, right? First idea, any of these words, and the result, the effect of the first action, right? I think this is one of the easiest words, or yes, connector words to use. So let's see how it works, but first let's read the examples, and that's going to be for you, please, Lourdes.
Okay, therefore we can conclude that this was a asymmetric catalysis. As a consequence, many consumers began to demand safer products.
Great, thank you very much, right? It's going to be like consumers, right? Consumers. Good. There you go. It worked great. Thank you very much, Lourdes. I think we don't need extra explanation here. You see that all of these words, actually all of them are used with the same formula, right? Semicolon period consequently, right? Semicolon period, therefore, thus, accordingly, semicolon or period as a result of this, as a result of that, as a result of what I mentioned, of what I said, right? Comma, the same. Semicolon period for this reason and semicolon period as a consequence, comma. All of them use the first formula, all right? And you know what the first formula is. Please give me a second. This one over here, right? This one over here. So all of them are going to use this formula. Please let's work again with two more examples using these words, all right? With transitional words of result or effect. Let's do it, please. Okay, we're about to finish with this topic. I told you right at the beginning of the week, and again, thanks for being patient with this topic because it's very, very heavy. We're about to finish with this. After this, I think we're going to have the most interesting topic that is going to be related to essays themselves, all right? You're going to know what an essay is, you're going to know about types of essay, and you're going to know the exact right structure of an essay, all right? Sentence by sentence. The first sentence in an introduction, the second sentence for the introduction, the third sentence for the introduction, the statement of the thesis that you need to have, and it's going to be step by step. And it's going to be really interesting because you can apply that to anything. All right, you can apply that to anything related to academic and formal writing, even when writing for universities and so on. So it's going to be really interesting for you to know that information. It helped me a lot, all right, to have all that. It helped me a lot with tests, all right, with essays, application essays, and well, you're going to see that you can apply that for many, many things and for your professional, I think, career. It doesn't matter what career you got, is going to be like very important. So let's be patient. Today we finish with this. These sequential transitions are going to be used with only one example, all right? Only one example, because we're going to mix the most important words in one big idea. Okay, just to let you know. But let's try to see what you got. When you finish, I'm going to see this. Yes, let's actually go like that. Melissa, I think this is yours. Yes, let's begin with your 2 examples, please.
Teacher, sorry, before Melissa started, I had to go.
Okay, no problem, Lourdes. Let me please share this with you as always. Don't forget to finish the exercises. We're only going to work with one more example, Lourdes. That is going to be a big one, using all the sequential words, all right? First, secondly, and so on. Try to complete that exercise to have the perfect score on Monday, okay?
Okay, teacher, thank you. Bye.
Perfect. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Okay, now let's read your examples, please, Melissa. I'm going to share this now. In the meantime, let's read it.
Okay, the first one is because of his job, he has to wake up really early to take the train every morning. And the last one is a result of a long investigation. All the students who cheat at the final test will have to repeat the subject.
Great, thank you, Melissa. Now, some observations that I'm going to tell you over here. The first big one that I saw, over here, it's this one, right? So if we use therefore, remember that for all of them, we have to use the first formula, right? So if the transitional word is in the middle, you only have 2 options, semicolon or period, okay? We cannot use comma before the transitional word or phrase when it's in the middle of the idea, right? If it's at the beginning, only comma, that's more than enough. But if it's in the second part, we need the period or semicolon. So in that case, we need, for perfect grammar and perfect writing, a semicolon at least before therefore. Okay, it would be incorrect and a mistake in punctuation to have that comma. After that, this one, right? This is a mistake because fancy is an adjective, of course, and we don't use articles with fancy, with adjectives, sorry, as fancy, right? But you are using fancy with restaurant, and restaurant is a noun, and it's a countable noun. So we have to use an article before fancy, because that article is not for fancy. That article is going to be for restaurant, right? At a fancy restaurant next Friday. And remember that we're going to use these days, months, right? Days of the week and months of the year, always with capital letter. I think those are my corrections over here. Right? And this one, right? Perhaps it would work better like we cheated, right? All the students who cheated, right, at the last test will have to repeat the subject, right? In that context, because of what you're saying, this seems to be like something that happened. But if this is a routine that you're telling me, in general, all the students, right, who cheat the final test repeat, if it's like a routine, then we shouldn't use future, right? All the students who cheat at the final test repeat the subject. That's one option. Or the other option is using past and saying all the students who cheated at the final test will have to repeat the subject. That's my second thing. I don't know if you have questions related to this, please, Melissa, let me know.
No, teacher, it's okay.
Great. Thank you. Mariana, let's work with your examples, please, or with the example that you wrote.
Okay, it's as a study of the I don't know how to pronounce
Vaccines? Vaccines?
Okay, as a study of the vaccines for the pandemic, the specialists say that vaccines don't protect us at 100%, at 100%.
All right. Now let's analyze this one. In this part, something interesting is happening, Mariana. We were working with causal transitions, right? And I think that the ones that we can use over here are as a result, right? And as a consequence. If we don't use those words, then it's not going to be, right, a causal transition. So you have to choose one of those, Mariana. Perhaps you can choose the first one, right? And you can say, as a result of the study, right? That if you realize you're not using that important word. Here, the important word is not as, because as is only the beginning of that idea. You have to say, as a result, right? As a result. Again, if you don't say as a result, as a consequence, then your idea is not this kind of transition, all right? You have to use as a result. My advice here, Mariana, it would be to say as a result of study, could be, or the study. So this is going to give the main idea, right? Well, I hope that Mariana can see this later on. If we don't write that, okay, it's going to be like incomplete. As a result of the study, right, related to the vaccines and so on, the specialists say that the vaccines don't protect us, good, at 100%. So I'm going to repeat this one more time. Let me see. Okay, so Mariana, can you hear me?
Yes, teacher, sorry, my internet is a little laggy today.
Don't worry. Yes, mine is like that too. I don't know what's happening, actually. I don't know what's happening, but I repeat the idea, Mariana. You said this like this as a study, but this is incomplete if you realize. You cannot say as a study of the vaccine. No. Remember, you're missing one very important expression there, Mariana, as a result of. If you don't say as a result of, it's not going to be this kind of transition, all right? You have to use as a result of. So as a result of this study, comma, this is the consequence, all right? Or this is the result, right? This is what they say. I don't know if you have any questions related to that, Mariana. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Whitney, let's finish this up with you, please. Let's read your two last ideas.
Okay, Germans suffered drizzle and tornadoes. Consequently, many houses were missing and underwater. We started lifting weights, therefore we changed our looks and our health is better.
Okay, good, good. You're using the right punctuation. The words are used in the right way with two ideas that are related in terms of result, right? Result. So, okay, I think the ideas work very good. I don't know if you have any questions with me, especially because I think we're using the words correctly. Any questions or comments?
No, teacher.
Great, thank you. And let's work with the last thing, all right? With the last thing for not only this class, but also this topic in general, all right? And again, it's going to work. You're going to see that you're going to use these words a lot, a lot. So I think these are one of the most important group of words, sequential or right words. So we're going to read everything in general because we're only going to read one big example to finish this topic, okay? Only one big example. But to do that, we're going to read these ones over here. I'm going to show you, and you're going to help me, of course. All right. Of course, organizing by number, because you can use this a lot. Showing continuation, right? This is for the second idea or for the following ideas that you're going to use. Summarizing, you can use that if you want, but it's not the main thing over here. Also this one, right? Digression or resumption, no. And concluding, summarizing. These are the most important ones, all right? So organizing by number, showing continuation, and concluding and summarizing. And again, if you want, of course, you can use this, but it's not something that you use a lot in essays. The most that you use are these ones over here. Let's begin the first group with you, please, Melissa. Read all the information you have, common terms, common phrases, and the examples of organizing by number, please.
Okay, teacher, organizing by numbers, common terms, initially, secondly, thirdly, first, second, third, and last. Common phrases, first of all, to start with, in the first, second, or third place, and examples in research writing. Initially, subjects were asked to write their names. First of all, dolphins are the smartest creatures in the sea.
Thank you very much, Melissa. So all of these words with the first rule, all right? With the first rule. It means if it's at the beginning, no problem, but you say initially, comma, secondly, comma, thirdly, comma. All of them need a comma after the word, all right? That's very important. If they are in the middle of the sentence or of your idea, you cannot use comma, all right, before the word. You have to use semicolon or period, all right, if you have this as a second part of your idea. So if it's in the middle, don't use comma before first, initially, no. You have to use semicolon or period. All right, it happened the same with therefore, right? If you use therefore, consequently, as a result in the middle, don't use comma before that word. You have to use semicolon or period. That's important. The second one, showing continuation, please, Whitney. Again, all the information, please, common terms and examples.
Okay, subsequently, previously, afterwards, eventually, next, after.
But after this, right? If we only say after, it's going to be incomplete. And also the examples, please, Whitney.
Okay. Subsequently, subjects were taken to their rooms. Afterwards, they were asked about their experiences.
Thank you very much. So if we only want to say like after, it's better if we use afterwards. But after gives us the chance of mentioning something else. You can say, for example, after that experiment, right, comma, this happened. Or after, right, what I mentioned, or after this idea, or after this, after that, comma. And again, all these words use the first formula that we have, okay? All the words use the first formula. If they are at the beginning, the word and comma. Subsequently, comma, previously, comma, afterwards, comma, next, comma, after this, comma. If they are in the middle, again, that's very important. If they are in the middle, you cannot connect that with comma. You cannot say comma next. No, it's incorrect. You have to say period next or semicolon next. The same. Period previously or semicolon previously. And of course, after that, a comma, right? Like in the formula. And finally, concluding and summarizing. Mariana, let's try to read this information, please, Mariana. Concluding and summarizing.
Okay, concluding and summarizing. Thus, hence, ultimately, finally, therefore, altogether, overall, consequently. To conclude, as final point, In conclusion, given these points in summary, to see this will be valuable to the study of X. In conclusion, there are three things to keep in mind: A, B, and C.
Thank you very much, Mariana. And that's it. Again, here we have no exceptions. All these words with the first formula, all right? All of them were the first formula, as I explained with this group and with this group, all right? And as you can see in the examples, it's always going to be like that. And again, I'm repeating that a lot, but it's for this to be clear. If these ideas are in the middle, you have to use period or semicolon before that word, and after a comma, right? Period, semicolon, ultimately, period, semicolon, hence, period, semicolon, therefore, comma, and the next idea. Okay, that's very, very important. So this is what we're going to do. This is the last example, the last big example that you're going to write. Please, only one example, but you have to use one word of each. Okay, one word of each. One big example. For example, you can say, right? I'm going to tell you, right? And you can narrate this story. If you want, it can be like a story, or you can choose the way you want to tell me this. I'm going to tell you as a story. So I'm going to say, right? Or I'm going to narrate this. It's going to be like, these are the steps that you need to follow, right? To work with a very, I don't know, right? Organized and formal interview, period. First of all, comma, right? You need to get all the information that you could, right, related to the person that is going to be interviewed. The more information that you have related to that person, the better, because you're going to be able to, I don't know, right, formulate better questions, period. Afterwards, comma, right, afterwards, comma, it's important that after you analyze that information, you start writing down some important questions that are related to that information that you got, period. And you can conclude your idea, right? Finally, or overall, finally, we can say that, right? Or to conclude. To conclude, it is very important to, I don't know, right? To be always on time, to have everything ready and set to start with the interview, so that everything is going to start up with the, I don't know, right foot. And that's it, okay? Give me something like that. Of course, you can work with shorter ideas. That was only an example. But give me one big example, Melissa, Whitney, and Mariana, in their writing, right, in the file, using one word of each. One expression of organizing by number, one expression of showing continuation, and one final, right, transitional word or phrase of concluding and summarizing. Let's do it, please. And I'm going to check that to finish this topic. All right. In this part, remember, the main thing that we have to take into account is the formula that we use. Again, any word can be used in many ways, okay? You can use and with comma, without comma, with semicolon, all right? You can use, for example, any of these words, finally, therefore. You can actually use them sometimes with comma, but in very special cases, and not at the beginning of the idea. You can use therefore as part of an interrupting idea, okay? You can use finally in that same way. Or you can use finally to give emphasis to your verb, right? And I finally was able to do it. And if you use it like that, it's okay. Again, it's grammatically correct, but it's not transition word, all right? It's not a transition word. If you want to use these words as transition words, I think some of you are doing it. You know that I was speaking in general. If you're following the first formula, don't worry, it's okay. But if you're not following the first formula, then try to restate that. What do I mean by the first formula? It's in the file, right? Go up, and the first formula that you see is the formula that you have to apply for all of these words. It means that you should use, right, period or semicolon before your important word, finally, and so on. If you use other words as and, but, and so on and so forth, it means that the main idea of that part is not finally, all right? The main idea of that part is addition, right? It's addition. And it can be okay, all right? It can be okay, but the context is going to change a little bit. All right, that's very, very important. So you need to be sure what word is the most important word of your second sentence. And that word is going to give the identity to that sentence, okay? It's not the same, all right? It's not the same saying this, right? And finally, I did it, or and finally, they wrote it. Or for example, if you say, but therefore this happened, or previously, something like that. In that way, you're giving more emphasis to the or to the and, or to the but phrase. So you need to rethink that, and you need to try to put the main word as the main first idea, and then in commas, you can set interrupters. You can say something like, right, finally, comma, however, comma, that's like an interrupter. That's one way that you have to use other words to give a double meaning. But the main meaning of that sentence is finally. And if you're using these words, again, to finish this, if you're using those words as transition words, be sure that you have period or semicolon before that main word. If not, it's not going to be a transition word. It can be correct, but it's going to be something else. All right, try to rethink that. If we have mistakes here, I'm here, right, to correct that. But that's why I'm giving you information so that you can understand that a little bit better. So let's check. All right, let's actually check what we got. Yes, let's begin with you, Melissa. Let's read your idea, please.
Okay, teacher, sorry. My example is initially some people were skeptical and did not trust fully in the COVID vaccines, but eventually the scientists were showing the results and the benefits of them with all the studies that were done in the last few months. Finally, more information and campaigns about them came up, and people were better informed and even hopeful that the pandemic will end sooner if the population starts getting vaccinated quickly.
Very good. Great, great. Very few things, the overall information is great, Melissa. I think this is a great paragraph. Details, this one, when we have periods, using but is, a period is too strong for but. But, all right, in grammar, it's used always with either comma or semicolon, but. Those are like the best options for but, because but is a very weak word. A period is too strong for but, also for and, right? Even in Spanish, right? I'm sure that you saw that. If in Spanish you write period and you say and, it's incorrect. It happens the same here with but. Of course, it's not like a very big mistake, but this is my advice here, Melissa. Instead of but, you can use a second transition word, and you can use it with commas because it's going to work as an interrupter. And you can say this, right? Eventually, sorry. I don't know why I changed there. So you can say over here, eventually, comma, however, comma. The scientists were showing the results, right? And the benefits of them. So in that way, your main idea is not but. Your main idea is eventually. But to the idea of eventually, you are adding a second idea, which is contrast. And a best idea for contrast in complete sentences, in big sentences, it's not but. It's a transition word as however. All right, so my idea over here would be the following. Let me see if it's going to work. So you can say eventually, then interrupter, all right, however, right, the scientists were showing the results and the benefits of them, right, with all the blah, 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 and you continue with the idea until the period. Then you have the finally, which is working very well over there, but that's my advice. I don't know if you have any questions or comments related to that information, Melissa. Let me know, please.
Yes, teacher. Thank you.
Okay, good. You're welcome. Now let's go with you, please, Mariana. Let's try to read your sentence.
Okay, it's first of all, the career seems like something hard, but afterwards you're going to understand anything, and finally you will love it.
All right. Now here is happening. Thank you, Mariana. Here's happening what I was telling you, right? We're using the words correctly. It seems that they are okay, but here they are not transitional words. Why? They are more like words that set emphasis to your idea, Mariana. It means that comma but afterwards seems that is not the main idea or the main transition word over there. It seems that but is more important. And in the last part, it seems that finally is not like the main idea over there. It can be related and the final idea, but it seems that and is more important than finally. So you can be using these words in a certain way, in a good manner, but they are not being used here as transition words. As I was saying, Mariana, if you want to use these words as transition words, you have to use them first with period or semicolon, all right, period or semicolon. And if you want to give the idea of but and the idea of additional information, it's better to use transitions, auto transitions. Why? Because in this case, the topic is transition words, right? Transition words and phrases. And with transition words and phrases, we need bigger ideas. So my advice here, Mariana, would be the following. Here, you can do the same as I was
Okay,
saying.
teacher, sorry, can you help me to remake my sentence? Because
Yes.
I wasn't be able to hear very well what you say.
All right, don't worry. I'm going to do it very quickly here. It's down there. I'm copying and pasting the same sentence, Mariana. So it's going to be 14, right? First of all, first you need a comma here, all right? First of all, after any transition, Mariana, you need a comma. If not, it's going to be incorrect. All right, first of all, comma. That is very important. After first of all, you have the idea. The career seems like something hard. All right, it's good. That's the first idea. It's short, but because of this example, we're going to take as the first idea. Semicolon. All right. Then you say afterwards, right? Afterwards, if you want, as I was saying this to, again, Elisa, you can set a transition that shows contrast. And you can say afterward, however, you're going to understand, it says you're going to understand anything. Anything is like negative. Anything is like nothing. All right, so we don't say anything. We say everything. All right, it's going to be, because of the context, I think it's everything. So afterwards, comma, however,
It's
comma.
everything there.
Right, you're going to understand everything. And here again, you can set period or semicolon, period. Finally, because that's the most important part here, not and. Finally, or you can use a different word, you will love it. But this is the idea over here, Mariana. If you want to use these connectors, you have to use them with either period or either semicolon. And you have to use a comma after that word. All right, this would be the correction, Mariana. Do you have any questions or comments? Let me know.
Okay, teacher.
Perfect. There you go, Mariana. Thank you. If you have questions, just let me know. Okay, that's it. And finally, let's work with you, please, with me. Let's read what you got.
Okay, to start with this topic, we have to describe what a habit is. Habit is an expression of our values and our behavior. Eventually, good habits could show that you are disciplined, and poor habits could show that you are a procrastinator. As a final point, creating a good habit is not easy, but that is not impossible. We just have to work ourselves and invest in our goals.
Okay, very interesting. It's a very, very interesting topic you're talking about. I see only very few things. The overall, I'm going to check part by part, all right? And we're going to finish with this. To start with this topic, very good, comma, the first idea and period. Great. Habit rights and expression, pum, 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 pum. This one, I think valors, that's not a word we're going to use. Perhaps you can use this word, all right? Values, right? Our values and our behavior, all right? Be careful with that word. Values and our behavior. Eventually, good habits could show that you're disciplined, and poor habits could show that you are a procrastinator. Good, very good, and period. Perfect. So far, very good. Just be careful with that word over there. And in the last part, as a final, creating a good habit is not easy, but it's not impossible. That is the first idea. It seems that after that, you have a complete idea. So this comma is incorrect here with me. Why? Because you have the first complete idea. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, teacher.
Please let me know. Okay, good. Because I see that my internet again is not working. And here, as you have that, this comma is going to be incorrect because you have another complete idea. So instead of comma, it's better if you use either semicolon or either period here with me. And like that is going to be perfect because this is going to be your last complete idea. That's it. I don't know if you have any questions related to that. Let me know, please.
Yes, I think this, but I am not sure that it's possible to use this in the final sentence or to conclude.
Which part, sorry? That semicolon?
The semicolon, yeah.
Yes, you can use semicolon, you can use period, whatever you want. Of course, it's not going to be as strong if you only mention one sentence with me, because this is another idea. So All right. Sorry, once again, and just to finish this, I was saying this final idea, one complete idea, you have to use at least semicolon, least period. And if you want that final idea to be better, then try to take it to the final sentence that you wrote. Okay, so you can say that the bad sentence is an extra information. All right, you can say creating right good habits is not easy, but that's not impossible. Period. As a final point, I can say that we have to work right in ourselves and invest in our goals. In that way is a good way of solving that problem, Whitney. Let me know if you have any final questions or comments, please.
No, teacher.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Again, thank you, and thank you one more time for your patience. I'm going to try to find out what's happening because, again, my internet was working good yesterday, but today was like that once again. I only have 2 of you, but please, let's complete this poll. That's going to be everything for today. Let's use all this information for the essay, all right? With that, we finished that topic. On Monday,
Teacher, I can see the pool.
it's over there. I don't know if you can see it, Melissa. I think you saw it. Whitney, you cannot see it?
No.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to
Okay.
save this one and I'm going to resend it again. Melissa, if you completed that, then it's okay for you to leave if you want.
Okay, teacher. Good night.
Perfect. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Give me 1 second, please, Whitney, because it worked with Melissa, but sometimes we have these problems. There you go. Now this is 2. There you go. Now I'm sending the poll once again, Whitney. There you go. I hope that you can see it now. What about now?
Teacher.
You can see it?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Very good. That's it then. Thanks, Whitney. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Work on your essay, and I'll see you on Monday.
Thank you, teacher. Take care.
You're welcome. Bye-bye, you too.